What's going on, guys? I've been getting a pretty good response on my shop tip videos, so I'm going to keep them coming as I'm working in the shop and think of something you guys might like to see. And one of those things that I was just using, I figured I would share with you guys, was this little sandpaper cutter that I mounted to the edge of my workbench. And all this is just a 12-inch bimetal hacksaw blade. I don't immediately recall the teeth per inch, but I would say the finer the better for this application. And what I use this for is simply cutting these 9x12 sheets of sandpaper into smaller pieces. And before I go ahead and show you how this works and explain it a little bit more, we'll go ahead and recommend this Rhino Wet Redline sandpaper to you. This is probably the best sheet paper that I've ever used in the shop, especially for finishing metal. I also use it on my handles, my Carta, other things like that. But this is probably the longest lasting and best cutting paper I've ever used, and it came highly recommended from several reputable knife makers. And based on the number of recommendations on the different forums I'm a part of, I figured not everybody could be wrong, so I picked some up for myself, and I've been impressed with it ever since. I think I got this from supergrit.com. I've also seen it on usanknifemaker.com. You can obviously get it on eBay and other places like that. But pick up a couple packets, maybe some common grits like 220, 400, maybe 120, 150, and give it a shot. There's no doubt in my mind that it'll probably be the only paper you use from then on. And in the past, I usually just bought this 3M wet dry paper from local big box stores. Compared to this stuff really doesn't last at all. This lasts a lot longer, gives a much more consistent finish throughout the life of the paper, and definitely worth every penny. And to be honest, I don't think it's really all that more expensive, if it is at all, than the standard 3M papers or papers you'll find at the local hardware. So look it up, give it a try. I think you'll be pleased with it. But getting back to the paper cutter, what I did, I simply just mounted this to the side of my workbench as tight as I could get it. Definitely the tighter the better, and again, the finer the teeth the better, as far as getting a nice clean cut. And the way I mounted this on my bench was I have a 3.5-inch wide 2x4 as an outer edge banding on my bench, so that gives me 3.5 inches here. This is about a 1/2-inch saw blade, so I mounted it flush to the top to give me 3 inches from the edge of the bench to the teeth. And what that allows me to do with a 12-inch long sheet of paper is to slide it back there, line the edge up with the bottom of my bench, fold it up, give it a little bit of a crease just to help in the cutting, and then starting from one corner, kind of get it started a little bit and give it a quick pull. And that gives you roughly, if you line it up well enough, a 3-inch piece of sandpaper, which just happens to be a quarter of this. So I can do this 2 more cuts and get 4 equal pieces of 9-inch long sandpaper. And sometimes I'll even take this, fold it in half, and cut it one more time to get a smaller strip, and I use that for hand rubbing my blades or polishing up my handles. So that's it, guys. Just a real quick tip. Low profile, stays out of the way, but it's there when you need it. And where I actually got this idea from, I'll go ahead and give a shout out to Ron Hazelton. He's a home improvement expert. He's got his own show on TV. Probably not one of the more popular home improvement shows, but one I would definitely recommend. And he's got a sandpaper cutter that he designed, that he actually made to cut these sheets into quarter sections for use on palm sanders and little hand sanders. So if you want to do a web search for Ron Hazelton sandpaper cutter, that's R-O-N. For Ron Hazelton is H-A-Z-E-L-T-O-N. Check out his sandpaper cutter. It's a little bit different, a little more elaborate, but he sets it up in such a way that you can cut this very quickly into 4 equal pieces, and even go on from there, kind of expanding off of this idea to cut it into strips or what have you. Another option would be to mount this on the top side of the workbench, maybe over on the corner, and make some tick marks for different widths and lengths, where you can cut that to any dimension you want. So real simple, guys. Just a cheap little saw blade. I think this one was even used, but a new one would work better. And just a nice, quick, easy way to quarter up your sheet goods. So thanks for watching, guys.